When our London office moved clear across the city nearly 2 years ago, it was the first time my commute was going to be more than 30 minutes, and the cost of travelling by public transport a whopping £140 a month, so I needed to find another way. Cycling can be hard work and cars can take absolutely hours, so I decided to try a scooter. I chose Honda's Forza 125 because it felt like a good balance between performance, cost and functionality. It's got me safely to and from work, done countless grocery runs and served as a taxi. It's even spent one day out of its comfort zone on the M40. So, time to let you know how it's fared, what I love about it and what I don't. I've done a lot of touring on motorbikes, but getting around the city on a scooter was a whole new domain. Because of the differences in posture and ride height, it took a couple of weeks to settle in. The Forza has a 125cc four-stroke engine with an automatic gearbox, known as a CVT or continuously variable transmission. Riding a bike with manual gear change is certainly more fun, but navigating pedestrians, cyclists and other motorists without having to think about which gear you're in definitely makes for easier and safer travel. Because it looks more like a maxi scooter than a typical 125, it's slightly larger, and in fact at 162 kilograms, it's heavier than the larger capacity Vespa GTS 300. But you don't really notice it, and with its surprisingly low centre of gravity, it's very manoeuvrable in even the tightest of traffic conditions. There are some very interesting features too, like this height adjustable screen, which is good for directing some of the wind over you at higher speeds. I bought an inexpensive raincoat and trousers, which have kept me dry countless times, and packed down easily under the seat along with the disc lock. The space is pretty roomy, capable of housing my extra large flip face helmet and a bag full of groceries, so I've not wanted for storage. The glove box is handy for storing small items and includes a USB socket which can charge your phone or sat-nav, but because it doesn't have a lock, you can't really leave things unattended. One thing I love about the Forza is the fuel economy. I've been getting consistently better than 100 miles per gallon, which is impressive in its own right. But when you factor in the clever engine stop-start tech, which cuts the engine when I'm stopped and restarts it again as soon as I twist the throttle, I'm getting an extra 10 miles per gallon on top of that. In real terms, that translates to around £20 a month for my total fuel costs, a far cry from the £140 a month travel car. ABS, or anti-lock brake systems, is a technology that prevents the wheels from locking up when the brakes are applied suddenly. Whilst it can be an expensive option on bikes, and the EU is pushing to make it standard on all new bikes by law, I would still choose it. Beauty is very much in the eye of the beholder, but I think the Forza looks quite cool in a modern way. It certainly isn't a Vespa, and knocking Vespa off their perch for sheer style is a big ask for anyone. The Forza brings function over form, and what I've really grown to love about it is how visible I am to other road users, particularly with the bright LED headlights, and how much those road users seem to respect my space and position on the road. From the first ride on the Forza, I struggled with the mirrors. It doesn't seem to matter how I position them, I cannot find that sweet spot that lets me know what's behind me and to the sides. There is always a blind spot on each side of course, but I've always managed to find an angle that minimised that zone. The ignition lock has an anti-tamper cover that is supposed to make it harder for would-be thieves to break into it. At night, that cover can be difficult to locate to release it using the back of the ignition key. It's not necessary to use of course, but it's there for a reason, so I do. The Forza seems oddly less equipped to handle two people compared to other 125s. The position of the rear suspension directly under the pillion seat amplifies every bump in the road for the passenger, and the added weight noticeably reduces the engine performance and overall handling. Granted, it's a 125 engine and can't be all things in all situations, so if you are planning on doing a lot of two-up travel, consider a larger engine bike such as the Forza 300 for the improved performance and handling. But for mostly solo city-based travel, the 125 is more than up to the task. There are some things I'd change to make the Forza even better than it is. Heated grips or handlebar mitts for those bitterly cold days are a must, A top box could be useful for those times when you need just that little extra bit of storage. If I could, I'd have a little light above the ignition key and somewhere to easily mount a sat-nav, since the body-hugging mirrors don't have stems I can utilise. Since I've only had the bike for 6 months and done a mere 2,800 miles, I am visiting Honda Chiswick to give the Forza its annual check-up early and make sure everything is prim and proper for winter. After the initial 600 mile checkup, Honda's recommended servicing schedule is every 12 months or 4,000 miles, a significant saving over most 125's 6 monthly scheduling. It's not mandatory of course, but getting the experts to do the service gives me that peace of mind that it's done right. But in the event something does go wrong, Honda's 2-year warranty has me covered. The 4K price tag for the 125cc version of the Forza is dangerously close to the 4.5K Vespa GTS 300, which was voted Auto Trader's best scooter for 2016. And I think that bike demonstrates so effectively that when you're spending this kind of money on a scooter, it needs to appeal as much to the heart as it does to the head. There's no doubt I have a huge amount of respect for this little Honda. I'm in awe of those running costs, but emotionally speaking, it has left me wanting a little more. It's close, but I think the Vespa's reign is safe for a little while longer.